There's a type of empath that researchers and psychologists have struggled to categorize, not because they're rare, but because they don't fit the model. Most empaths absorb the emotions of others and become overwhelmed by them. They mirror, they merge, they lose themselves. That's what the textbooks describe. That's the version that ends up in therapy, burned out, depleted, confused about where they end and other people begin. But there's another kind. This type doesn't just feel what others feel. They see through it. They sense the emotion underneath the emotion, the wound beneath the behavior, the truth that no one is saying out loud. And unlike the classic empath who gets swept away, this type watches, processes, and understands, often without saying a word. Carl Jung spent decades studying what he called the intuitive type, individuals whose primary mode of perception wasn't sensation or logic, but pattern recognition at a depth that most people couldn't access. He found that a specific subset of these intuitives combined emotional attunement with what he called psychic perception, the ability to read a room, a relationship, or a person's entire psychological history in seconds. Modern neuroscience has caught up to what Jung observed. Research on mirror neuron systems and the default mode network suggests that certain individuals process social information at a neurological level that is fundamentally different from average. Their brains aren't just responding to what's present, they're running continuous unconscious simulations of other people's inner worlds. This is the Indigo Empath, and if you've ever felt like your empathy operates on a different frequency than everyone else's, more intense, more precise, more isolating, what you're about to hear may be the first explanation that actually makes sense. Here are the 8 signs. Sign 1. You don't just feel emotions, you decode them. Most people experience empathy as emotional contagion. Someone cries and they feel sad. Someone is angry and they tense up. It's reactive, automatic, and largely unconscious. The Indigo Empath doesn't stop there. When you encounter someone's emotion, something in you immediately starts asking why. Not intellectually. You're not analyzing from a distance. The feeling arrives, and with it comes an involuntary download of context. The grief you sense in a colleague isn't just grief. It feels like old grief, unprocessed, connected to something they've never talked about. The anger from a family member doesn't just register as anger. It arrives with a shadow of shame underneath it. Jung described this as the function of feeling intuition, a perceptual mode that processes emotional information at depth, not just at surface level. It's as though your nervous system has access to layers of data that most people's systems simply don't collect. The result? You often understand what someone is going through better than they understand it themselves, and that's both a gift and an enormous burden. Sign 2. You've always felt out of place, but not broken. Think back. You probably knew, even as a child, that you processed the world differently. Not that something was wrong with you, more that you were tuned to a station no one else seemed to be receiving. Conversations felt shallow. Social rituals felt performative. You could sense the unspoken tension at the dinner table, while everyone pretended everything was fine. Other children played. You observed. You wondered why adults said things they didn't mean and meant things they never said. Developmental psychologists studying children with heightened sensory processing sensitivity, a trait that Dr. Elaine Aron has linked to a different neurological threshold, found that these individuals often report profound feelings of alienation in childhood, not because they are antisocial, but because they are perceiving more than the social environment is designed to accommodate. The Indigo Empath doesn't feel out of place because they're broken. They feel out of place because they're operating at a resolution that most environments can't match. And eventually, usually after years of wondering what was wrong with them, they stop trying to lower their resolution to fit in. That's when everything changes. Sign 3. You can sense deception instantly, and it disturbs you deeply. Not in a suspicious way, not like you're looking for it. It finds you. When someone lies to you, even a small social lie, something in your body registers it before your mind has formed a single conscious thought, a micro-tension in the chest, a slight wrongness in the air, a disconnect between the words being said and the energy behind them that feels almost physical. Jung called this the shadow detector function, the intuitive perception of the parts of a person they're hiding from the world and often from themselves. Research in social neuroscience supports a biological basis for this. Individuals with highly active insular cortex activity show significantly stronger physiological responses to incongruence between verbal and nonverbal cues. What makes this particular to the Indigo Empath isn't just the ability to detect the deception. It's the disturbance it creates. You don't just notice it and move on. It unsettles you at a level that's hard to explain. Because to you, inauthenticity isn't just impolite. It feels like a violation of something fundamental, like someone introducing a wrong note into music you're trying to hear clearly. This is why Indigo Empaths often have very small circles. Not because they distrust everyone, but because they can feel who is real. Sign 4. Crowds drain you, but one-on-one conversations restore you. Standard advice tells empaths to protect themselves from crowds. And yes, large social gatherings are often overwhelming for this type. The noise, the performance, the dozens of emotional signals firing simultaneously, it's genuinely exhausting. But here's what makes the Indigo Empath different from the classic overwhelmed introvert. Put them in a real conversation, one where both people are being honest, where something genuine is being explored, and watch what happens. They don't drain, they illuminate. Something activates in them. Their thinking sharpens, their perception deepens. They become more themselves, not less. This is because the Indigo Empath's nervous system isn't overloaded by emotional depth. It's overloaded by emotional noise, the static of performance, small talk, social posturing, and disconnected interaction. Depth doesn't exhaust them. Shallowness does. This distinction matters because it means the Indigo Empath isn't looking to isolate from human connection. They're looking for the specific kind of connection their nervous system was built for, rare, honest, and real. Sign 5. You absorb the pain of strangers and can't explain why. You're watching a documentary. Someone you've never met and will never meet describes their grief. And you cry, not politely, not performatively. You cry as though the loss is yours. You walk past someone on the street who seems fine to everyone else, but something about them lands in you like a stone in still water, and you spend the next hour carrying a heaviness you can't source. This isn't imagination. This isn't oversensitivity. Research on the default mode network, the brain system responsible for constructing our understanding of other people's mental states, shows that in highly empathic individuals, this network activates not just in response to direct social stimuli, but in response to implied or ambient emotional information. Your brain is running simulations of people you've barely registered consciously. Jung described certain of his patients as having a permeable psychic membrane, a boundary between self and other that was constitutionally thinner than average. Not a pathology, he argued, but a perceptual architecture that required conscious management to prevent chronic depletion. The Indigo Empath absorbs the pain of strangers because at some neurological level, the distinction between your pain and their pain is less fixed than it is for most people. The challenge isn't to feel less. It's to learn how to move what you've absorbed through you, rather than letting it settle in you like sediment. Sign 6, you've been called too intense by people who couldn't handle your depth. You've heard it before. Too sensitive, too serious, too much. And for a while, maybe a long while, you believed them. You learned to dim yourself in social situations, to laugh at things that didn't seem funny, to pretend you hadn't noticed what you'd noticed, to perform a lightness you didn't feel. But here's what Jung would say about that dynamic. When people call you too intense, they are describing their own capacity, not yours. They are telling you the precise depth at which they become uncomfortable and asking you to stay above that waterline so they don't have to face what's below it. The indigo empath sees beneath surfaces. That's not a social flaw, that's a form of perception. And people who are hiding things from you, from themselves, will always experience that perception as threatening. What looks like too much to the wrong people will feel like finally, someone who gets it to the right ones. The intensity you are told to suppress is not the problem. It is, in fact, the gift. The work isn't to reduce it, it's to stop handing it to people who can't hold it. Sign 7. You have a strange relationship with nature and solitude. Ask an indigo empath where they go when they need to recover, and almost universally the answer involves being alone in something larger than themselves. A forest, the ocean, an empty field at dusk. There is something that happens in those spaces that doesn't happen anywhere else. The noise clears, not just external noise, internal noise. The accumulated emotional data from days of absorbing, sensing, processing, it releases. This isn't poetry. There's growing evidence in psychophysiology that time in natural environments directly downregulates the sympathetic nervous system, reducing cortisol, calming hyperactive threat detection circuitry, and restoring the kind of baseline regulation that a highly sensitive nervous system burns through rapidly in social environments. For the indigo empath, solitude isn't loneliness, it's recalibration. Jung wrote extensively about the relationship between the introverted intuitive type and what he called the inner world, a rich, complex, continuously active interior landscape that required regular withdrawal from external stimulation simply to be heard. The indigo empath's relationship with solitude isn't avoidance, it's maintenance. It's the necessary counterweight to a life lived at extraordinary emotional and perceptual intensity. Sign 8. You carry a feeling that you're here for something specific, even if you can't name it yet. This is the one that's hardest to say out loud, because it sounds arrogant, or delusional, or both. But it's there, it has always been there. I sense, quiet but persistent, that your capacity to feel, to perceive, to understand people at depth isn't accidental, that it's directional, that it points somewhere, toward work that matters, toward people who need exactly what you carry, toward a role that hasn't fully revealed itself yet, but that you would recognize the moment you stepped into it. Jung called this the sense of vocation, not in the career sense, but in the older sense of the word, a calling. He believed that individuals with highly developed intuitive and feeling functions often experienced a pull toward purpose that was inseparable from their perceptual gifts. That the depth at which they felt the world was, in fact, why they were built to do something particular in it. This doesn't mean grandiosity. It doesn't mean you're destined for fame or a platform or a following. It means your sensitivity is a tool, a finely calibrated instrument. And the work of the indigo empath, perhaps the central work, is to stop apologizing for it, to stop minimizing it to make others comfortable, to stop treating it as a wound when it is, in fact, a form of intelligence that the world desperately needs. If you recognize yourself in these 8 signs, something important is worth understanding. The indigo empath doesn't heal by becoming less sensitive. They heal by becoming more intentional, by learning which environments deserve their depth and which ones drain it for nothing, by finding the people who don't need them to dim the light, who, in fact, see it and move toward it. Jung spent his life arguing that psychological wholeness wasn't about becoming balanced in the conventional sense, softening your strengths to fit an average. It was about integrating your gifts, understanding them clearly enough to use them with precision rather than bleeding them unconsciously into every space you enter. You were not built for every room. You were not built for every person. You were built for depth, for truth, for the conversations and connections and contributions that most people never reach, because they were never wired to go that far. The question isn't whether you're too much. The question is whether you've found the places and the people where too much is exactly enough. You haven't lost your way. You've been on the right path. It just hasn't had a name until now.